Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for a brand new series. That's right, today we're trying something new, something different, stepping out of the comfort zone and hopefully doing something pretty awesome. This is a series that I'm going to be calling, and hopefully going forward you'll like it enough to want to see more of these darn things, the My Collection series. How it's going to work is I'm going to select various figures from the display and represent a movie, a theme, a video game, a TV show in 1/6 scale in some kind of arrangement on camera. We're going to assemble the collection together, and I'll discuss why I've posed figures a certain way, why I've put X figure in X spot in said display, and go from there. Because most of the time, we're not just buying one character from a line, we're buying multiple and assembling that cast of characters on screen in some kind of arrangement. That just really excited me. I saw Land Speeder Luke do his Shelf series videos, and that's what inspired me to make this My Spider-Verse collection video. Starting off with arguably the most important character in Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse, Miles Morales, and this one isn't what you might think. It looks like the Hot Toys one. A lot of the parts are borrowed from the Hot Toys one, yet the base body is actually the Young Rich Toys suit and body. And over the top of that suit, we have the Hot Toys shorts. We've got the Hot Toys hoodie, which is wired, that's why I decided to use it. The Hot Toys jacket, and the Hot Toys hands. I just like how angular they are. They suit the aesthetic. Now, I have popped the Hot Toys head sculpt on the Young Rich Toys body very loosely. It doesn't sit on there super securely. It kind of wobbles around, which is not ideal. The neck pegs, they're just different sizes. It's the best I could do. One of the other reasons why I decided to choose this body for Miles is he has the accurate Jordans. They've got the swoosh, they've got the Jordan symbols, and the icy soles, which I love. They are a massive improvement over the Hot Toys shoes. So that's why I decided to go with this version of Miles as my partially suited Miles wearing the Hot Toys head sculpt. In the very back of the display, he's jumping above everyone. You'll also notice I've clamped his thigh with the little waist clamp. That just gives him an added height boost in the background. And most of the time, collectors don't make use of all of that verticality. This next one might be a little bit controversial, depending on your point of view. It's not Spider-Man 2099 from Across the Spider-Verse. It's still Miguel, but it's 2099 from the PS4/PS5 video game. So the proportions are more realistic. There's more detail on the suit, and he's wearing a suit. There aren't cuts everywhere at the shoulders, at the elbows, at the torso. This is an actual suit, and it looks great. There's a lot of detail to it, there's a lot of depth to it, and a few different finishes as well. Now, unfortunately, on my copy, the spiky side arm pieces are starting to peel, yet the logo is fine, and the logo was the one thing people were really worried about, not so much the spikies. If you are planning on getting this, just be mindful that it could happen to yours as well. We've got more glossy sections on the legs, and that gloss, the contrast between the metallic blue and the glossy parts and all the musculature and the red spider, the head sculpt being super angular and the spikes, this guy is a shelf stealer. He has a lot of presence. And I don't think he looks that dramatically different from the aesthetic of the Spider-Verse figures. Alongside Miles, I don't have any problem displaying him in the Spider-Verse display. And I think he looks a darn sight better than the new Mondo-style Hot Toys version from Across the Spider-Verse. If you like that one, all the power to you. For me personally, this is the vastly superior version of 2099 Spidey, so that's why I went with him. Next up, Hobie. Or in this instance, it is Spider-Punk, yet once again, not from Across the Spider-Verse. I so hope they make him. He was an absolute riot in the film. Yet this one is also from the PS4/PS5 video game. They gave us a lot of wacky suits in that game. This one is the wackiest, no question. He's got the various symbols and bits and pieces, paraphernalia that make him look like a Spidey punk, yet not accurate to the movie, of course. I love the chucks with the Spidey logo on there, a nice touch. He does have the spikes on top of his head sculpt, yet they're not quite big enough to be that version from the film. He also doesn't have that torn up vest thing that he was wearing, so the details, they're not 100% there. I still like him in the Spider-Verse collection though. I'm sure this was intentional. If not, Crazy coincidence, I guess. All of the pops of white coupled with the blue and the red for Spider-Punk, it gives him a very Union Jack feel, which is perfect for a UK-based version of Spidey. Alongside 2099 from the game and Young Rich Miles with the various Hot Toys pieces, this is starting to shape up to be a pretty darn good, yet at this stage pretty basic, Across the Spider-Verse display. And even though the bodies on Miguel and Hobie are more realistic looking than the Young Rich Toys / Hot Toys Spidey Miles in the background, I reckon it still works. Next up, one of Young Rich Toys' better figures, maybe, depending on your point of view. Some people absolutely hate this Peter B. Parker from Young Rich Toys, and I understand the head sculpt's a little bit whack, especially the masked head sculpt. Awful. This one, though, I like it. I think it looks like him. It's got that goofy charm. It's very long, which I reckon is pretty spot on to the character model for Peter B. Parker in Into the Spider-Verse. One of my other favorite details is the little spiky of hair around the back. It just makes him look a touch more disheveled, which he always is. This version of Spidey is a little bit more porky. He's got a pot belly going on, and his nips are poking through the suit for some reason. No idea why that's a thing. The blue fabric sections, they're rubbery and textured with the little zigzags on the surface. And you even have some tread on the underside of the shoes. The red sections are just stretchy spandex with more screen printing for the web lines. And no skin tone neck. I was so hoping there would be, seeing as though you can have him displayed with the unmasked head sculpt on. Still, I like this figure. Sue me. Now, popping him into the display, will he ruin the look that we have going with the realistic figures and Miles, or will he add to it? I think he adds to it, even though he's tall. He is very, very tall. And that head sculpt is stylized. The body is realistic looking enough thanks to the proportions and the musculature. I think he fits right in. So far, we've been more focused on Across the Spider-Verse with Hobie and Miguel. Let's roll back the clock and look at something or someone ripped straight from Into the Spider-Verse. That film, it was all about Miles. And it was about his journey to becoming his version of Spidey. And of course, he started off, kind of, in this Halloween costume sold to him by Stan Lee. So Young Rich Toys, when they gave us this suit, I just had to use it. How could I not? It's his first official Spidey suit. All the way down to the fully wired cape. And a handy hint, grab the inside of the cape and wrap it around his thigh if you find the wires aren't strong enough to hold the cape in position. He does have visible wrist pegs, and they're really, really ugly. Luckily, he does come with web shooters that you can have him wear if you don't want to have those wrist pegs on display. His Nikes, just like the ones on the Young Rich Toys Hot Toys Hybrid, you've got the Air Jordan logos, you've also got the Nike swooshes. So much better than the Hot Toys ones. So yeah, this guy definitely has a spot in the display. On one side, Peter B. Parker being the mentor, and on the other side, opposite, if you will, Miles in his yellow cape suit. This works on multiple different levels. These two spent a lot of time together in the first film. But the film wasn't just about Miles coming into his own. It was also about Peter B. Parker dusting off the cobwebs, I'm so sorry, and becoming Spider-Man once again. Not this janky-looking hobo. Now, I do have him sitting on a couple of Nike shoe boxes. These are great. Young Rich Toys, y'all killed it with these shoe boxes. What happened to the Young Rich Toys that was making stuff like this? Seriously fantastic. All the way down to the actual size chart on the side of the box. You can open it up, there are Nikes inside, and these, they're the ones with the swooshes and the various little symbols, all of the stuff that the Hot Toys Air Jordans were lacking. Hot Toys, shame on you. This is how you do Jordans in 1/6 scale. Absolutely awesome. Now, Peter B. Parker, this is the hobo version. He's got the green jacket on, his head sculpt is totally screwed up, you've got bruises everywhere on his nose, on his cheek, his eye is kind of half closed, his hair is going everywhere. It's got the spiky once again, which I love. And the outfit is accurate to the film. He's got his Spidey suit underneath, and this time, a visible skin tone neck, and it blends in with the head sculpt. Much nicer than the fully suited version. The hands are a touch realistic for me. I would have preferred if they were more blocky, like this burger, which is very cartoony. And down below, underneath the sweatpants, he has more skin tone. and mismatched shoes, which are branded a Timberland boot on one side and a Converse shoe on the other. This guy is great for what he is. Where am I going to put him? I want to show that progression of Peter B. Parker in the film. So he's got to go on the left. As your eye is being drawn up towards Miles, you want to see a progression of the characters and their looks throughout the film. At least I do. So that's why we have Peter B. Parker sitting on the shoeboxes holding a burger and then the fully suited version. This is a smaller figure, if you want to call it that. It's more of a statue than a figure. It's Peter Porker Spider-Ham. I freaking adore this little thing. It is pre-sculpted in this pose with his arm out, and I thought, why the hell not? Let's pop a piece of pizza in his hand. It took me so long to balance that, and this guy without the display base will not balance at all. Make sure you are using that translucent display base. Trying to balance this piece of pizza on his hand is possible. So if you have a piece of pizza you want him to hold, take your time, it can be done. My favorite detail though, the little Spidey eyes on his piggy snoot and the piggy tail around the back. I still cannot believe that we saw Spider-Ham on the big screen in Into the Spider-Verse. This little guy, he definitely needed a spot front and center in the display. I'm really digging this back and forth. Miles, another character. Miles again, and for our third Miles, this looks like the Young Rich Toys figure. It is, and it isn't. It's actually a hybrid between a Hot Toys Miles and the Young Rich Toys one. We'll talk about the recipe in just a second. I do want to focus on the accessories. These come with the Young Rich Toys school uniform Miles, and they're bloody brilliant. The basketball, it's got all the branding. The suitcase has zippers. You can open the pockets and store his extra hands in there if you so choose. You've got the little teeny tiny luggage tag and the telescopic handle around the back. Unfortunately, the wheels can't move. That's the one downside to the suitcase. Alright, the Kit Bash combo, you'll want to know the recipe, I'm sure. So what I did was I took the Hot Toys body, and you can still see the Spidey suit because the sleeves of the jacket aren't long enough to come down, hence why his hands are in his pockets. The one drawback to this Kit Bash, in my opinion. The skin tone neck is there from the Hot Toys one, and the skin tone ankle rubbery pieces, they blend everything perfectly. I have had to go with the Hot Toys shoes. The Young Rich shoes, they have the ball joint connectors, whereas the Hot Toys ones, they go over the top of the actual Spidey suit. Overall, I like this Kit Bash. It's not perfect. I wish his hands did not have to go in his pockets. Yet it still has attitude, and it represents Miles from the very start of the film. Before we got to the Halloween suit, before we got to the black suit, and somewhere in between the civilian look and the other Spidey costumes, there was the school uniform, so I had to represent it in this collection. Now, I have kept the poses pretty simple, because I don't like risking damaging the suits on my Spidey figures. Yet with the Hot Toys Miles, this is just the straight up Hot Toys Miles, nothing crazy going on. It's mostly fabric, so you can get more adventurous with the posing. You do still have to worry about the screen printed sections, the little zigzags on the surface, and all of the red parts. They are screen printed, including the logos front and back. Everything else, I think, is fair game. I have seen people with crazy bends in the legs and the arms, and they've been totally fine. So now I'm going to pop this guy like this in my actual collection once this video is done, not just for this video. This pose, it kind of has him getting ready to do something. He's either been shocked by something, or he's just quietly confident. He's sitting there, he's in a Spidey style pose, and he is ready to go. Where the hell am I going to put him? I think you know, he's going front and center. This is his movie. He needs to be in the middle. There is one character missing. One character that you know needs to go into the display. And who is that character? It's Gwanda. No, it's Gwen Stacy, aka Spider-Gwen, aka Ghost Spider, aka Haley Steinfeld, aka Spider-Woman. She is one of my favorite characters in the film, and the new film Across the Spider-Verse, it heavily focuses on Gwen. So the Hot Toys figure being front and center alongside Miles, it makes perfect sense, at least to me. You also have multiple head sculpts to choose from, whether you want to go with the hood down and the unmasked head sculpt on like I have, or if you want to go for something a little bit more clean and simple with the hooded and masked head sculpt. Either option is great. Now the body is very skinny and spindly all the way down to the teeny tiny ankles and also the shoulders and just everything in general. The proportions are spot on to the movie. The suit is made of that rubbery material and it picks up the light so you can see that super subtle triangle texture pattern on the surface. I have already given away where she's going to go in this poster style arrangement. Seeing is something else entirely. Now that she's in there, dude, this display is so aesthetic. It is speaking to me. There's flow to it. It's done in this poster style arrangement where the peripheral characters lead your eyes up to the middle where the main characters lie, Gwen, and two different versions of Miles if one didn't tickle your fancy. Everyone that I wanted represented is represented. If there are characters that you think should be here, perhaps Spider-Man Noir by So-So Toys, okay, that would have been a great figure to add in now that I think about it. The school uniform version of Gwen, or even Scarlet Spider, seeing as though he features in Across the Spider-Verse. Take this idea, run with it, make it your own, share photos of your Spider-Verse display in the groups, online, heck, on YouTube even. I cannot wait to see where you go with your version of a Spider-Verse collection. If I had to give you any handy hints on putting together a poster-style display, use white space effectively to highlight the gaps between characters. It helps main characters pop. And take advantage of the vertical space. Get yourself some risers. Grab them from Daiso Japan or your hardware stores or Amazon Prime, wherever the heck you can find them, and use the vertical space. If you don't, it's literally just wasted. So, at the end of this, I can't wait to make my next My Collection series video, and I hope you can't wait to see it. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.